Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining the kickoff meeting. Um, Today's meeting is for the regulatory reporting automation project. As some of you may know, because we have some pre-sections before this meeting, this project is to automate. We have a big commitment to the Fed for State Street. We are going to automate the Y9C, the call report 031, 041, and the 14Q reports. By next year, Q1, we are going to have a production parallel, which is we are going to filing the legacy, filing through the legacy process, and also we are going to generate the XIM output and do the subfiling at the same time. So this project is a big commitment to Fed. So again, I want to thank you everyone for joining. This is very important, and we are going to have a follow-up sections for each of the topics we are going to cover today. So we want to make sure in this short amount of time we have everything covered and everything is good to go for this project. So some of you in this meeting, it's from the regulatory reporting group, the BAU group. So you are the people who is responsible for filing this report to Fed in the current process in the legacy world. And we are so glad to have you here today because we gonna know from you guys, from everyone, from your team, that how is the legacy world working today. So in future state, in target state, what are the MDRMs we are going to automate? We have a team who would perform the analysis, and we will have a final result of where final decisions of what are the MDRMs that is being automated and what are the MDRMs will be remained manual. Let's get started and go into more detail about this project. So this is the meeting agenda. The project overview. I know many of you, probably all of you, would have a general idea of this project, but I can see some of the people just newly joined, and so we want to quickly go over the project overview to make sure everyone's very clear about what this project it's going to deliver by the end of this year and next year, January and February. What are we going to deliver for this project, and what are the big commitments to the Fed? So the current state and target state, as I mentioned before, we want to know from the operational guys and from the regulatory reporting group, what are the current state, how do you do the filings, how do you create the reports in the legacy world, and we want to introduce the target state as we work with our partner, our vendor, the XIM team. We created the target state for the Y9C, 14Q, and the call reports automation. And we have a phase one layout. So this is a big project, as I mentioned. We are going to have multiple phases, and as phase one, we have specific report in scope and specific MDRMs in scope for automation. then we'll move to the key stakeholders, which is everyone sitting in the room today. We are going to introduce everyone to each other. So this is our project team from now on till next year, at least February. And we have the Axiom operating models, which we will define the groups who is responsible for management, for development, and for from the Axiom side, also from the IT side. We have the issue and risk management. We have some issues that have already been identified by the Axiom teams and the management. So we want to make sure that those risks or has been taken care of at the beginning. We know that could be a risk, and we are doing this with known issues, known defects. And QA. So we have a QA team, which is also we have the QA lead here in the meeting. The QA is going to take care of the QA testing, the quality control. So we want to go over that as well. I'm sorry. Actually, the QA it's for questions. I'm sorry. We do have a QA team though. So let's get started. So this project, so this is a regulatory project. Will focus on the automation of the regulatory reporting from the source system to the regulatory submissions. So Axiom is a vendor, and the report for phase 1 will be Y9C call report 031, 041, NYCA and 14Q. So this project it's also will support the data governance by the data testation and data governance team members. We are actually doing the project in parallel. So this project is about automation to automate those reports. And we have the testation for those reports, which in another project in parallel. So these two projects will support each other. The current state. So currently, our reporting group, sitting here, Sherry Caroline's team, they're collecting the reporting data from the data providers, and they would do the aggregation and consolidate those numbers and create the final number, the final report, and submit it to FAT. So this is what happened in the legacy world. And the data providers, they source the data from multiple data sources, from Wall Street data sources, from Moody data sources, from multiple data sources, depends on the product type. So they would need to enrich the data, and they would do some enrichment to the data, and then they would have templates sent by the reporting team, and they would feed the data to Excel sheet and email back to the BAU team. So this is how it works in the legacy world. And again, the data providers, they are one MDRMs could be from multiple data providers. So that could be very complex in terms of automation. The target state. So the target state is we are going to source the data from different data sources and aggregate the data and enrich the transactional data with Bloomberg. And ASP aggregates the FRT and enriches reference data, and Axiom would utilize the business rule definition and report preparation. So the report will be generated in Exim, and also Exim will submit the report to the regulator directly within Exim. So phase 1 layout. The report in scope for phase 1 is Y9C, all schedules, O31, O41, NYCA, all schedules, and 14Q schedule B, C, D, E, G, H, K, M. So all these schedules, for all these report and schedules, we have identified complete list of the MDRMs which are reportable by SSBT, which is this project. So for those non-reportable by this project, we are going to leave it as it is, and we are going to dig in and do some more analysis next year to take care of the rest of the MDRMs. The key stakeholders, it's everyone who is sitting in this room. We have Sherry Caroline from the Regulatory Reporting Group. We have Sonia, who is a project owner. We have Gobin Abhishek. Gobin is a technical project manager, and Abhishek is our product owner of the Exim tool. So we have Paisley, who is a UAT manager, and Vern is a Scrum Master. Craig Jones, he is the project lead from Exim team, and Antonios, who is the configuration lead from Exim team. We also have Geraldine, who is the Exim developer lead, Catherine, Exim report SMEs, Varsha, Anu, Niranjan. They are the BAs from IT side. We have Manny, who is the developer for data sourcing, Gigi, developer for data sourcing, James, which is from the QA lead, and Bridge, which is the tech lead. So we are the best in previous project. That's why we all brought in to this new project. So we are going to work together in the next at least 6 months, and we are, as I mentioned, we are setting up follow-up section after this call. So just to make sure everyone, please get to know each other, because we are going to have many times together from now on. The operating models. So the automation lead team, which is responsible for critical decisions, the responsible team, which is the sponsors, product owners, the QA lead, the development manager is responsible for the progress of the agile teams, and the issue and the risk. So right now we identify some of the risk, which is the manual input for those who cannot, for those which cannot be automated in the phase 1 or within this project scope, which need manually input to Exim. So that need to be done very quickly. That analysis need to be done very quickly in order to know the impact. The UAT planning. Because we have very short timeline, so the UAT planning is very critical. The ops model definitions, the operational teams need to have a very thoughtful plan about operational readiness before we enter UAT. The strategic build code build freeze. So we need to have a very solid timeline for when we need to freeze the code before entering UAT. The loan data provision. We all know that the loan data always comes in the last minute. So in the automation perspective, how do we handle that? The business requirement documents. We need to clearly document all the business requirements, the mapping, the logics in a automation project. So we need to